Hi class. So today I'm going to be talking about chapter 6, and this video is going to be on objective 2, which covers coterminal angles in degree measure. So coterminal angles is something that is mentioned in objective 1. They're angles that share the same terminal side. And we'll later do this with radian measure, but this is strictly depending or dealing with degree measure. Okay class, so let's start by talking about what coterminal angles are and how we find them. So first, the definition of a coterminal angle is going to be taking a terminal side and rotating it completely back to where it is by 360 degrees. So 360 degree rotation brings you back to the same place. If we have two angles, one that looks like this, and another that looks exactly the same. These angles, let's say this one is 45 degrees, and this angle, let's say it's 405 degrees, share the same terminal side, but they are of different measure. And this is what we mean by coterminal angles. Coterminal angles are angles in standard position having the same terminal side but different measure. So you may ask, given a certain angle, how can we find all angles that are coterminal? Let's say we have an angle theta. Coterminal angles can be obtained by adding any non-zero integer multiple of 360 degrees to a given angle. So all that means is that the angle theta and theta plus k times 360 degrees are coterminal. We can work through an example. Let's say we have theta is equal to 30 degrees. We can find multiple coterminal angles to 30 degrees. Let's start by setting k equal to 1. So when k equals 1, we simply have theta plus 360, which is in this case going to equal 390 degrees, because 30 degrees plus 360 is 390. 390 or 30 are coterminal. We can similarly have k equal to 2. Now we have, let's write it out this time, 30 degrees plus 2 times 360 degrees. And this is going to equal 750. So 750 and 30 degrees are coterminal. In fact, all of these angles, all three of them, 30 degrees, 390, and 750, are said to be coterminal. And that is why there are infinite coterminal angles for any given angle. Okay. Now, what we'll be interested in this class is not only finding coterminal angles, but specifically finding the least non-negative coterminal angle, or the angle of least non-negative measure. The angle of least non-negative measure, coterminal with a given angle, is going to be labeled as theta c, or theta sub c. And it's going to be within the range of 0, less than or equal to theta c, which is less than 360 degrees. So, looking at this range, first of all, it's always going to be a positive angle. But second of all, notice that there's not an equals underlined here. So if you get an angle theta of 360, it's coterminal angle of least non-negative measure is 0, not 360. So always go to 0 if you find that your theta c, or you think your theta c might be 360 degrees. And we can do an example of this. So if we take some angle theta, and let's say the angle theta is going to be negative 697 degrees. To find this angle of least non-negative measure that is coterminal with this angle, what we're going to do is we can just iterate, plugging in an integer of k. So the first one we might want to try is k equal to 1. So when k equals 1, we have negative 697 degrees plus 1 times 360 degrees. And this is going to equal negative, sorry if this is a little confusing, this is going to be equal to negative 337 degrees. This is not within this range. So we know this is not the coterminal angle of least non-negative measure. So we can keep going up. We'll do k equals 2. When we do k equals 2, we have negative 697 degrees plus 2 times 360. And this one equals 23 degrees. So this is within our range of 0 and 360 degrees. And therefore we say theta c, in this case, is equal to 23 degrees. Now, this is the end of the second objective, where we talked about angles of least non-negative measure. And again, like objective 1, I want to end the note with questions that I got from the homework. One common question I got about the homework was a question similar to this, where they gave you an angle, let's say 300 degrees, and they said find 2 positive and 2 negative coterminal angles within a range of, let's say, negative 450 degrees and 1050 degrees. The way you approach this problem is not for looking for, like we did in the last part of objective 1, was to find the coterminal of least non-negative measure. You're simply looking for coterminal angles within this range. So it's similar to that last approach, but different. The first thing you want to do is try to find either the 2 positive or 2 negatives. It's a personal choice. You can kind of do whatever you would like. But in this case, because 300 is so close to this range, all that I'm going to do is set k equal to 1 and find one of the positive coterminal angles by simply taking 300 degrees and adding 1 times 360. So by doing this, I just simply found an angle of 660 degrees, and this is going to be one of the answers to the question. Similarly, we can see that this is still positive, but if we subtract 360, it won't be a positive answer. So that means the second answer has to be with k equal 2. So we take 300 degrees and add it to 2 times 360. Sorry if that was a little sloppy. And this answer is just going to simply be 900 and, oh, sorry, it's not 900. It's 1020 degrees. And again, this is within the range of what they asked, and it is a positive coterminal angle. To find the negative solutions, you'll do the same thing, except instead of having a 1 for k, you'll have a negative 1 and a negative 2. And those will give you the solutions. So this is how you approach a problem like this in your homework. All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.